Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
It is so nice to be with you all last night, today, all week long, and for many years to come. At 2 p.m. on Monday, my first official day as assistant rabbi at Temple Beth Hillel Bethel, I walked into the chapel greeted by smiling and excited congregants and coworkers, many of you. So much had been leading up to this moment for many months. Interviews, formalizing me joining here full-time, my ordination, moving from New York City, all finally culminated on this first day of work, this moment that we gathered to say hello to each other. I was immediately overcome by emotion, feeling a level of joy and homecoming that I've only felt on some of the most special moments of my life, like my wedding or my rabbinic ordination. As I walked further into the room, I was greeted with big hugs from every single one of you who had taken time out of your day not just to say hello, but joined together in a ritual moment, the reciting of Shechianu together. There were so many parts of this short gathering that I'll hold in my heart for many years to come. And what made this gathering extra special is we gathered to ritualize the moment. Saying Shechianu together, a blessing that thanks God for sustaining us and bringing us to this day, it symbolized a new iteration of our relationship. This new iteration came through the work of so many, from Paula and Jonathan and the search committee who diligently worked with me through the hiring process, to the office staff, Ken, Josh, and Rabbi Witkowski, who made sure there was a smooth week of onboarding, to Sarah Solo, who's now planning many, many welcome events, and of course, to all of you, who are bringing all of your excitement and warmth to this time. Thank you to all of the people I mentioned, and of course, to all of you, for making this moment of Shechianu so significant. What made this ritualization of the moment so special is that when we say a blessing, we make a speech act. A speech act in the philosophy of language and linguistics is an utterance expressed that not only presents information, but it performs an action with regard to its intention, its purpose, or its effect. Many speech acts involve the expression of a psychological state or the assertion of a belief. Saying Shechianu on Monday in the chapel was a bracha to express our gratitude, our hopes, and our dreams. So here are just a few of the statements that I made while we gathered together, a few of the speech acts. We thank God for bringing us to this moment, a moment of transformation that has taken much work on the part of many of us. Other, for the community we have built together that is now celebrated through the joy of welcoming a new rabbi to it. We are so excited to reach new heights together, and we bless the coming successes we will have together. It's not just the Shechianu that is a speech act. Our tradition is actually full of speech acts. And one particular speech act in this week's Torah portion, Parshat Balak, leaves a lasting legacy on our Jewish practice, our prayer service today. So what happens in Parshat Balak, where speech is a central part? Its main character, Balaam, is enlisted by Balak to help defeat the Israelites. Balaam is hired for the job because he's believed to have the powers to curse or bless anyone he wishes. He also has a special connection to God, though he's not Jewish, and our commentators have long tried to understand what this connection might be. Much of the Parsha focuses on these two men attempting to curse the people of Israel. A pretty sharp turn from the last few Torah portions about the Israelites wandering the desert, Balaam reluctantly goes to meet Balak in the land of Moab, where the Israelites are, even though he knew from God that he would not be able to curse the Israelites. Balak takes Balaam to several lookout points in the Moab hills so Balaam can see and curse Israelites. Balaam attempts to curse the Israelites at each viewpoint, though instead, words of praise flow from his mouth each time. On his third attempt to curse Israel, Balaam sees a full panoramic view of the entire Israelite tribe and realizes that his accidental blessings have pleased God. Instead of searching for more curses to curse with, he decides to follow God's desires, to look to direction from God for his next utterance. This panoramic view of Israel, different from the previous partial views he had, gives Balaam a new perspective, one where the Spirit of God came upon him, and so he says a phrase we might be familiar with, Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, mishkanotecha Yisrael. How fair are your tents, O Jacob, your dwellings, O Israel. So what is it that makes Balaam's utterance of Ma tovu so impactful that we still sing it every morning in our Shacharit services? What makes it so impactful that our kids learn it in their early years at preschool and camp and religious school? Why is this the statement that becomes its song? Is it its language? Is it because Balaam saw the whole view of the Israelite people? Rashi suggests that Balaam saw the tents of the Israelites, that they didn't face each other. And he appreciated that the Israelite tribe managed to give each other some privacy because the opening of their tents didn't face each other while traveling through rough desert conditions. He imagined that these boundaries were incredibly difficult to maintain, and so he wanted to bless their ability to maintain privacy and respect for their fellow tribe members. Here's another suggestion. Contemporary commentator Aviva Zorenberg notes that Balaam's previous blessings were not rooted in the experience of the Israelite people. Balaam's first two blessings were made from vantage points where he only saw partial views and not a complete view of them. However, this final blessing, Ma tovu, was rooted in Balaam's knowledge of the people. He himself addressed the Israelite people in front of them because he saw them all. And so this blessing was the one true speech act of Balaam's many words of blessing throughout the Parsha. Ma tovu was a speech act because it addressed the entire Israelite camp, complementing their respect for each other. Blessings can feel most meaningful to us when we know the people we are blessing, when the blessing holds intention and beliefs. That's part of why Monday's Shehechianu blessing can be considered a speech act. For Balaam, he was able to bless through a speech act because of this panoramic view of the community, not just the parts that Balak wanted him to see. When we together say blessings, as we do on Shabbat morning, when we join in prayer or ritual moments, as we do every Shabbat, as we did on Monday to say Shehechianu, our moments have real impact. The real impact comes from our ability to have our own private meaning to blessing and prayer, combined with the knowledge that all of us together are making a statement, saying a prayer that means something to our community as a whole. That each person saying the prayer has their own meaning, and that we together create even more meaning. Today, and every Shabbat, we do not just join to say the words of our tradition, we pray in communal speech acts. We come with our own intentions. Maybe we're mourning. Maybe we want to pray for the healing of a loved one. We pray for a more just world. Maybe we're directing our hearts towards Israel and praying for the safety and peace among all of its inhabitants. We come because we want to learn more about our prayer service and feel safe in this community to do so. We might come because our kids love Tot Shabbat and Cookie Minion. We come because we actually don't connect to the words of prayer itself, but connect to the communal experience of reciting them together. We come, I know, don't worry, because we want to stand in the lobby or hallway and say Shabbat Shalom and schmooze with our friends who we haven't seen in a week. Whatever the reason we come, our impact is increased because we do it together. What does it mean to come together in these communal speech acts? It means that while we might say the same words together, we think our own things. If you were with me on Monday afternoon, the Shehechianu that we said might have meant different to you than it did to me. And that's part of the beauty of coming together to pray in the way that we do. Our acts of speech are inclusive. They could be personalized. They can mean different things to all of us. And yet, we direct our words together as a community. The impact of our speech is greater, just like Balaam's words of Matovu, because they're communal speech acts and not just individual. This week, Rabbi Witkowski taught me a beautiful piece of Torah that he learned at Pardes from Levi Cooper. That when we say Shabbat Shalom, we have fulfilled the commandment of Zachor, of remembering Shabbat. When we say Shabbat Shalom, we identify ourselves as Jewish. We're identifying ourselves as coming together to observe Shabbat and take a pause from the rest of our lives. And we're making an intentional speech act that says we are and want to be a part of the Temple Beth Hillel Bethel community and the greater Jewish people. As we move into the final parts of our Shabbat services today and soon join together in the cherry for Kiddush, say Shabbat Shalom to your loved ones, knowing that its impact is greater than you can ever imagine. These words of blessing are more than a blessing. They are a speech act, ritualizing how we join and when we join. They are the great equalizer of all words we say on Shabbat, that no matter how you pray or what the prayer means to you, we all fulfill the same commandments through the speech act of Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. We continue with Musaf on page 184.